Honestly guys, the Championship is absolutely mental. We've just had a bonkers midweek of action. So what I thought we'd do for today's video was go through some transfer rumours, and as well as that, round up all the action that's gone on over the past 2 days. We've also got a game going on tonight in the Championship as well, Stoke versus Leeds. It wouldn't surprise me if there was another shock in that one. So the first half of the video we'll spend going over the midweek results, and then the second half of the video we'll dive into some transfer rumours. Also, as you can tell, I have had a long overdue haircut, but if you do go and enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. Let me know in the comments down below if you've seen any other transfer rumours, and also what you made of your team's performance in midweek. But without any further ado, let's hop into it. So starting out with the game at the City Ground that saw Fulham pick up all 3 points with a 1-0 away victory. Harry Arter with an absolute beauty in this one, and fair play to Fulham for picking up maximum points without Mitrovic. Obviously he's been suspended for the last 3 games and he picked up 9 points in that time. I don't think that either side was at their best in this one really. In terms of chances created and things like that, there wasn't really all too much in it between the two of them, but similar to the game that Forest had against Derby, they conceded at the worst time possible really. Obviously Derby they conceded in the last minute, and this one conceded 4 minutes into stoppage time of the first half, so obviously that changes Fulham's game plan for the second half, allows them to shut Forest out for the second, and in the end it ended up being a bit of a frustrating one for the home side, who next up have got a game against Preston at Deepdale, which I'm looking forward to. And then we have Brentford keeping the pressure on the top 2 as they beat Charlton by 2-1. Now Charlton came out of this one really well for the first half, especially Macaulay Bonne scoring the first goal. They almost made it 2 when they hit the crossbar as well. Then the second half looked to soak up that pressure from Brentford and held on for quite a while, but Brentford got back into it and left this one late. The penalty decision, it looked a little bit soft to me, but Ben Rama stuck that one away, and then Ethan Pinnock in the 85th minute from a corner made it 2-1. What that result does is obviously, it means that West Brom and Leeds can't slow down. Obviously, we've already seen West Brom win and then Leeds in action tonight. I'm interested to see how they get on against Stoke. But a lot of people have been saying that they can see Brentford winning every game for the rest of the season. They've had a flawless run so far since lockdown, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised either if they did. Charlton I thought got quite unfortunate because I did think they defended quite well, but they are still above the relegation zone. Brentford carry on chipping away at the top 2. And then we had a 1-1 draw between Luton and Barnsley. I said in the preview to this one that it feels like a must-win game for both sides, and a draw doesn't really do anyone any favours at this stage of the season. By no means are these two clubs out of it yet in terms of survival, but 3 points would have been massive in this one. It was Luton who took the lead, really nice finish from Berry to make it 1-0, and then Barnsley had an onslaught of chances in that first half and carrying on into the second as well, but Sluga was really on top form. We've been critical of him throughout the season, but he was fantastic in this game for keeping them in it. Eventually, Barnsley did get back into it in the 84th minute, Halm with quite a scrappy goal in the end, but Barnsley will take it. And then late on, both teams had golden opportunities to win it. Sluga made another fine save for Luton, and then Harry Cornick was sent through on goal. He's really good at breaking that defensive line, getting in behind defenders, but his finishing at times can be so inconsistent. You don't know what's going to happen. Ultimately, it'll feel like quite the frustrating point for both sides. Then we had a goalless draw between Reading and Huddersfield. Huddersfield seems to be becoming masters at this at the moment. It was a goalless draw at the weekend against North End and another one in this one. However, this one was a little bit more lively in terms of goalmouth scrambles and action in the final third. It was probably typical of Reading to put 5 past Luton and then draw a blank in this one really, but they are one of the few clubs who doesn't have anything to play for this season now. Reading, they're comfortably in mid-table. Huddersfield, the result sees them now unbeaten in their last 3 matches, so they're continuing to plug away just about staying above that drop zone. Ultimately in this one, no one quite had that final bit of quality to seal all 3 points, although there were chances. And then we have Blackburn beating Cardiff by 3-2. Blackburn came from behind not once but twice in this game to pick up all 3 points, and there were some outrageous goals scored in this one. It seems like that 6th spot at the moment is a bit cursed in the Championship because whoever's there doesn't seem to be able to build any momentum to break away from the chasing pack below them. Like Preston were in 6th for, let's face it, the majority of the season so far, and we just couldn't manage to form a gap. The same seems to be happening to Cardiff here. It was a great way to start the game though. Will Vokes with a brilliant effort to give them the lead, but then Blackburn had that endeavour to come back into the game, like I say, not once but twice. The game's poised at 2-2, and then Adam Armstrong with one of the most outrageous goals we've seen so far this season. It was Bakuna who gave it away. He saw that Alex Minnies was off his line, took it first time, and it was just outrageous from Adam Armstrong, wasn't it? That's his 14th goal this season. The result leaves Blackburn 5 points off the playoffs, but for Cardiff, they do still remain in 6th, but that point tally below them really is getting close now. Then we have Middlesbrough picking up a massive 3 points at the Den, winning by 2-0. These results just come out of nowhere, and we're at an interesting time of the season where 1 point doesn't really do anyone any favours, and everyone's pretty much got something to play for, whether you're going for the top 6 or looking to avoid the drop. Before Borough did take over in the second half with both goals, Millwall did have their fair fair share of chances to go ahead in this one. Matt Smith had a really good chance, Mahoney was causing issues, but both goals were well taken from Borough. Was there a foul in the build to the first one? I'm not so sure. Cooper goes down, Fletcher races past him, squares it to Odsonne to make it 1, and then obviously the penalty, then Fletcher sticks away, so a massive 3 points for Borough in that one. Then we have West Brom beating Derby by 2-0. Big result for West Brom. I think it's harder when Brentford play first and that pressure's on West Brom to pick up a result, but it was a convincing performance in this one. Derby weren't really at it. I think that some of their key players who are missing at the moment really seem to catch up with them in this one. They didn't really offer that threat going forward, but West Brom looked really good. Dangana with a nice finish to make it 1, and then O'Shea in the second half with the other. I think the quality each side was bringing off the bench, it's like at a different level. Like West Brom have one of the best squads in the league. Off the bench they brought the likes of Callum Robinson, Kravinovic, Matt Phillips, Hal Robson-Carno. It's a brilliant full squad they've got. For Derby, obviously, we then had the red card for Sibley, which was just a ridiculous decision. Like, I'm hoping that that will get rescinded, and it should get rescinded. But their top 3 hopes took a bit of a dent in this one, although with Cardiff losing this weekend, they're still only 3 points off the top 6. Then we had Swansea picking up a massive 3 points as they beat Birmingham by 3-1 away from home. That takes them to within 1 point of the top 6. Now, the big news coming out from Birmingham is that Pep Clotet has left right after this result, so we already knew that Clotet will be leaving at the end of the season, and we questioned that at the time, you know, announcing a manager's going to leave at the end of the season, what effect is that going to have on like players' motivations and things like that. But it's not happened for Birmingham since the restart, and although I don't think they will go down, they still need points on the board to ensure that they are not going to be dragged down into this relegation scrap. They did take the lead in this one, but Swansea turned it around within the first half. Brewster, who's on absolute fire at the moment, got them back into it, and Cabango just before half time, and then they wrapped it up in the second half. Big 3 points for Swansea. For Birmingham, I mean, there's never a dull moment at that club. And then we have Bristol City beating Hull by 2-1. Bristol City winning their first match without Lee Johnson. It was Jeju back in the goals who gave them the lead in the first half, and a sublime free kick from Jamie Patterson in the second half to make it 2. Like, we've seen some good free kicks scored in the Championship over the last couple of weeks, but that one from Jamie Patterson's right up there for me. It was unreal technique. Hull did get back into it with a goal from Device, but ultimately it wouldn't be enough, and Bristol City went on to pick up all 3 points. Now, in terms of Hull, the result leaves them 22nd in the league, and the next 4 matches, it's got some must-win games in here. They got Millwall, Wigan, Luton and Cardiff as their final 4. It's still ridiculously tight at the bottom. I'm interested to know from you guys, who do you see going down? And then we have Wigan picking up a massive 3 points, beating QPR by 1-0. This was the one that I've managed to predict so far. Kiefer Moore with a smashing finish to give them the lead, and then after that Wigan did have chances to make it 2, but that second draw wasn't coming for them, and QPR very nearly got back into this one. Che had a golden opportunity, but he shot straight at Marshall, and ultimately Wigan managed to hold on for all 3 points. Like we said on the last episode of the Championship roundup, Wigan's season wasn't going to be determined by that game against Brentford. It was going to be their next 4 fixtures. They've got off to a good start there. Their next 3 games are up against Barnsley, Hull and Charlton. And with the way that Wigan are playing at the moment, you wouldn't really back against them. And fair play to the players, you know, they're still really committed, and, you know, given all the commotion behind the scenes at Wigan at the moment, this group of players seems determined to stick it out to the end. And then we had North End finally getting back to winning ways off. First win since February. This one's been long overdue. 3-1 against Sheffield Wednesday. It was a bit of a bonkers match. The first half, I thought it was just going to be one of those days for Preston where we were having a bunch of chances, but just nothing was going in. Barkhusen put a one-on-one wide. Maguire had a good chance. Bauer as well. We were knocking at the door, but nothing seemed to be happening. And then early on into the second half, Wednesday take the lead. It's a nice goal from Murphy, to be fair to him. And given the circumstances of our season, this was a must-win match. And somehow we're now 3 points off the playoffs again. Whenever you think your season's done, the Championship just pulls you straight back into it. But fair play to Alex Neil with the subs he made. Daniel Johnson, Scott Sinclair, Jaden Stockley and Brad Potts all involved in the goals we scored. It was a brilliant link-up between Stockley and Sinclair for the equaliser. Wednesday did get back into it, but had a goal ruled out for offside. Peliopessi in an offside position, and he was interfering with play standing right in front of Declan Rudd. It was Jaden Stockley then with a beautiful finish to make it 2-1, and then Brad Potts wrapped it up late on. Now listen, Preston have got some big games coming up now. You know, we've got Forest at the weekend, Brentford in midweek, but the Championship's just bonkers, isn't it? What a result. In terms of Wednesday and Gary Monk, things just don't seem to be clicking for them at the moment. But those were all the games that went on in midweek. As you can see to the side of me, that is how the Championship table is currently lining up. Obviously, we do have the Leeds against Stoke game going on tonight as well. But I think the Championship's just going to continue to throw twists from now to the end of the season, and it was all a bit bonkers. So do get your thoughts in the comments down below in terms of what you made of your team's performance. And now, without any further ado, let's switch our attention over to some of the latest transfer rumours going around the league. Starting out with Wigan Athletic. Now, there has been the news news recently about Wigan looking to offload some players as soon as possible to be able to recuperate some money and then be able to put that towards wages for the rest of the squad. It really is a crazy situation, obviously. People at the club have already been made redundant. And so one of the players who naturally has been linked away with that permanent move has been Josh Windass. He's been out on loan at Sheffield Wednesday for the last part of the season. This one would make sense to me. I could see Wednesday going in for him permanently. He's not really wanted by Wigan anymore, is he? So that would suit both parties. David Marshall's also been linked away. I'd imagine he's one of the more bigger earners there. Both Celtic and Stoke have been interested in the shot stopper. Joe Geldhard, one of the biggest prospects in the Championship, has been linked to a move to Spurs. That Premier League interest is no surprise to me, but the bad thing about this Wigan situation is they don't really have any bargaining power, so when an offer does come in for a player like Geldhard, they can't really be affording to hold out for as much as they probably normally would get for a player of his talent. Weir's another one who's been linked to Spurs as well, and we've also seen West Ham been linked to centre-back Cedric Kipri as well. Obviously we know West Ham like to do a lot of their business in the Championship, so the interest doesn't come as much of a surprise, but I feel like these next few weeks for Wigan fans, both on and off the pitch, is going to be a bit of a rollercoaster. Then moving over to Reading, John Swift has been linked to a Premier League move. Sheffield United seem to be interested in the creative midfielder now. It's been a fantastic season for Swift, 5 goals, 10 assists. He's really been able to take his game to another level, and the interest doesn't come as much of a surprise. Sheffield United as well, they like to do a lot of their business in the Championship, fits into their model, and I actually think would fit in fairly well to their style of play as well. However, the current fee being talked about at the moment, Sheffield United with a bid of around 3.5 million. I think it's going to take a bit more than that to tempt him out of Reading, but obviously with the pandemic and things like that, transfer fees will be an interesting one this summer, because some clubs will just be in need of more money than others, so I think we will see some players going for fairly cheap deals, but I think even Reading will be holding out for more than that. The talks that they want at least 7 for the midfielder. In the past we've also seen Leeds have been interested in him as well, so I'm interested to see where that story goes in the next few weeks. Also for Leeds United, the move for Helder Costa, this one has become permanent now, £16 million. It's a lot of money, I'm not going to lie, you know. Costa so far this season has had his moments. At times has also struggled, I think, but we all know, you know, we've said it a few times on the channel so far, you know, we've seen the improvement from a player like Jack Harrison from last season to this. Could Costa follow on a similar path? We'll see what happens under another year of working with Bielsa, because there is definitely a player there, but for 16 million, Wolves have done alright from that, I think. Bit of an ambitious one, but Leeds have been linked to Celtic striker Edouard as well. Should they be promoted, it's going to be one area where Leeds are going to be looking into strengthening. Very good record in the Scottish League, got 27 goals in all comps so far this season, although Celtic are looking to time down to a new contract to fend off any interest. Crystal Palace have been another club who's been mentioned with the striker as well. It's not an easy role coming in and being a striker in the Bielsa system. You need to be just right for him, don't you? I think this one will be another interesting one, but we'll see how it unfolds over the next few weeks. West Brom have been linked to striker Vedat Marikwi, currently playing for Fenerbahce. He's had a very good season there, scored 16 goals for them this season. Obviously this one's subject to them being promoted. It's always an interesting one when you are promoted. It's playing that balancing act between keeping like the core group together that you've been promoted with, but also adding bits of quality here and there. We've seen varying successes of that with the 3 clubs that were promoted last season. Norwich didn't really add to their squad at all, it's not gone well. Villa completely transformed it, it's not gone well, whereas Sheffield United seem to strike that balance really well. But I do think that striker is an area that West Brom will be looking into strengthening over the summer. You know, it's been sort of rotated throughout the season between the likes of Austin, Zahor and Robson Carnu, so I think a Premier League striker like a player of this calibre really will be something to keep them onto that next level. Also, it came out lately that Jesse Lingard is no longer part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans for United going forward, and bizarrely enough, West Brom have been linked to the United midfielder. West Ham and Everton have also been linked. Now, obviously, Jesse Lingard's not good enough for Man United. I think that's pretty obvious. You know, he's become a bit of a meme, really, in the last few years, hasn't he? But I think he could do a job at, probably 10 Premier League clubs at least, or something like that. You know, it was only 12 months ago that he was a regular starter for England. So while some people may laugh off being linked to a player like Lingard or things like that, I still think he'd be a pretty good Premier League player. The issue then gets to, though, his wages and things like that. I think reportedly at the moment he's on 100 grand a week at Man United. I don't think he's going to get that anywhere. Maybe, to be honest, a club like Everton or West Ham would be silly enough to pay him that. But I don't think that West Brom would be in that market. But if he was willing to take that pay cut or something like that, West Brom fans, what do you make? Would you take Jesse Lingard? Let me know down below. It was quite an interesting one. It caught my eye the other day. Middlesbrough have been linked to Toulouse winger Wesley Said. He's wanting away from the club and Borough seem to be interested. Got 2 goals this season, 1 assist. He's not played all too much football, 14 starts, 9 appearances from the bench. His best season came a couple of seasons ago with ft.John, where he scored 9 goals. Obviously Middlesbrough don't have the best track record though with buying players from Toulouse, obviously the last one being Martin Braithwaite, and that one didn't turn out the best in the end. Austrian midfielder Stefan Schwab has been linked to both QPR and Bristol City, currently playing his football out in the Austrian league. The 29-year-old midfielder who's got 1 cap for his country. He's actually spent his whole career there, so if he does make that move to England, that will be his first move abroad. And finally, Sunderland have said that Aidan McGeady is not part of their plans for the future, so they're willing to let him go out once again, either on a permanent or on another loan deal. So Charlton, Lee Bowyer has said that he'd be interested in re-signing Aidan McGeady for next season. The question I'd ask to Charlton fans is, has McGeady showed you guys enough for you to take him on a permanent basis past this season? Bowyer has said that it's dependent very much though on if they stay in the Championship or not, should they re-sign McGeady. Charlton fans, let me know what you think of that one. But guys, there you have it. That will wrap it up for today's video. So today's video was a bit all over the place really, wasn't it? We were rounding up all the action, then going over some transfer rumours as well. So get all your thoughts in the comments down below. Coming up tomorrow, we will have our Championship score predictions, and we've got some big games coming up. I know I always say that, but we've got everyone in the Championship top 10 is playing each other this weekend. It's going to be absolutely bonkers, guys. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching. If you want to enjoy, please do leave a like. Make sure to stay tuned and subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.